There are moments on live television that change the energy in a room, not because of raised voices or viral drama, but because someone finally says what everyone's been holding back, with courage, clarity, and conviction. On a Tuesday night that began like any other political panel discussion, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett delivered a moment so powerful, so unexpected, that the audience in the studio and the millions watching from home sat in stunned silence. The tension had been building for weeks. A heated political climate, divisive headlines, a constant tug-of-war on cable news between what's right and what's righteous. Jasmine Crockett, a young, sharp-witted congresswoman from Texas known for her unapologetic advocacy and fierce intellect, was booked for a live primetime debate opposite Pam Bondi, the former Florida Attorney General and an outspoken conservative voice. The producers knew this would draw numbers to strong women, opposite sides of the aisle, and both unafraid to speak their minds. But no one, not even the producers, expected that moment. The debate began with standard fair talking points about the economy, border policy, public safety. Crockett maintained her signature composure, leaning in with facts, challenging assumptions, calmly dismantling misdirection. Bondi, as always, came in hot, sharp in tone, rich in confidence, and determined to land a viral blow. For the first 10 minutes, it was a duel of words, each woman standing her ground. Then it happened. Bondi, growing visibly frustrated, tried to corner Crockett on issues of race and crime statistics, a subject often twisted and manipulated in political theater. She leaned forward, smiled condescendingly, and said, "Maybe if you focused more on solutions than playing the victim card, your community wouldn't be suffering the way it is." The room fell silent. You could hear the breath catch in the throats of the audience members. Even the host, normally quick to interject, was speechless. It was the kind of moment where history has a choice: sink into awkward silence or rise into something unforgettable. Jasmine Crockett didn't flinch. She tilted her head slightly, eyes locked on Bondi's, and said with a calm, steely voice that carried the weight of generations, "Let me be clear, my community doesn't need your pity, and it certainly doesn't need your lectures. We've survived redlining, underfunded schools, police brutality, voter suppression, and systemic neglect, and we still rise. What we need is respect. And if standing up for justice makes me a victim in your eyes, then maybe you need to ask yourself why justice looks like an inconvenience to you." The crowd gasped. It wasn't the volume of her words, it was the truth in them. It hit like thunder across the studio. The audience erupted. Some clapped, some stood. One older black woman in the front row had tears in her eyes. For them, for many watching at home, it wasn't just a clapback, it was a reckoning. A moment of emotional vindication. Pam Bondi didn't respond. For the first time in the segment, she looked genuinely stunned. Her trademark smirk faded. She opened her mouth slightly, as if to reply, but then paused. The silence between the two women said everything. The host, finally recovering, tried to steer the segment back to neutral ground. But it was clear the moment had landed. Social media exploded. #CrockettClapback began trending within minutes. Clips of the exchange flooded, accompanied by messages of support, personal stories, and affirmations from viewers across the country who finally felt seen and heard. Later that night, Jasmine Crockett sat quietly in her dressing room. The lights were dimmed, the echo of the studio now distant. Her chief of staff handed her a phone. It was overflowing with messages. One in particular caught her attention. A text from her high school teacher, Ms. Daniels. It read, "I remember when they tried to silence your voice in 11th grade debate. I told them you were built for moments like this. You didn't disappoint." She smiled softly, her eyes glistening not with pride, but with gratitude. For the ancestors whose shoulders she stood on, for the community she carried in every syllable, for the young girl watching the broadcast who saw a reflection of herself in Jasmine's defiance, courage, and grace. The story didn't end with a viral moment. In the days that followed, Crockett's office received thousands of letters, some from supporters, others from those whose perspectives had shifted. Schools began using the clip in social studies classes. It sparked conversations in homes, workplaces, and churches. It reminded people of something essential. That truth, when spoken with love and fury, can move mountains. Jasmine Crockett's comeback wasn't about winning a debate, it was about reclaiming the narrative. It was about drawing a line in the sand, not between left and right, but between dignity and degradation. And in that moment, live on national television, she showed the world what leadership really looks like. And that's the power of words. Backed by truth, the kind that doesn't just stun a studio, but awakens a country.